All right, guys, we are live on Facebook right now, so we're just going to welcome our audience that's going to be joining us. If you're not there now, I'm sure you'll be here in just a second. We want to welcome you guys that are either watching the replay on Facebook or watching us live. We're going to be talking about here in session number 5. We're actually going to be going through the disciplines of execution, right? This is pretty critical stuff. There's obviously 2 main components, right? So we've been in the process over the course of this day as to setting who you want to be, what your mission statement is. We've been talking about what are the goals, the short-term goals that are going to help lead you to accomplishing that mission statement. And then we just got done creating an action plan and setting up the lead measures to actually get you to a place where we're going to get those things accomplished. Now, that's a lot of great stuff, right? We wrote a lot of stuff. We said a lot of great stuff. There's a whole big difference between doing a lot of stuff and saying a lot of stuff, right? And so we've been saying and writing a lot of stuff, and now it's time to actually start executing on that. So I'm going to kind of go through some tips and some tricks and some ways that you're going to be more likely to actually execute on this plan that we've created. We're actually going to go back during our breakout session in just a second, make some small tweaks as well to our lead measures to make sure that you're utilizing all these tips and tricks, right? So there's 2 key components to accomplishing goals. Because again, remember, this seminar, you may go to a lot of different seminars, a lot of different workshops, and learn a lot of different things, but this workshop here, this seminar here, is about you not setting goals, it's about you accomplishing goals, okay? I don't care about you writing stuff down, putting it in a book somewhere. We want it out of the paper, in your head, in action, actually being accomplished, right? So there's 2 main components to actually accomplishing your goals. Number 1 is the strategy, right? It is the plan. It is the lead measures that we just came up with. It's the things that we're going to do. It's the steps 1 through 10. It's the who we're going to connect with and the meetings we're going to have and the wholesalers we're going to meet with. All that great stuff, right? And that is important. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan. But probably the most important of all of this is the ability to then execute on that plan, right? It's be able to take it from the paper and actually start doing some things. So when I first got started in real estate, you see I have this little title that somebody dubbed of me. I thought it was a very stupid name, but I embraced it because they were very wealthy individuals that were making me a lot of money. But when I first got started in real estate, I was named Make It Happen Matt. By a couple of investors that I was working with at the time. Now listen, I'm new, I'm wet behind the ears, I don't know a whole lot of stuff, and they had really, really deep pockets. So I partnered with them, and we did a little bit of everything. I mean, we developed land, we flipped some waterfront properties, we did new construction, we were doing wholesale, we were doing all kind of stuff, right? And I was kind of just like along for the ride. They were putting up the money, I was kind of putting the deals together, and I was making massive checks. Again, sometimes 6 figures on a single deal. So they could call me whatever they wanted to call me. They call me Mud. I don't care. Let's just keep the deals flowing, right? But basically, we would sit down in a room like this, and maybe not a room like this. We'd sit down in a room, us around a table, like some of those guys were in the back right there, and they would say, we want to do X, Y, or Z. And then it was my job to go out and make it happen, right? They had the money, they had the wherewithal, they had the ability to do it, and they would kind of cast vision, and they would say, this is what we want to do, and then they just kind of dropped it in my lap and said, hey, we'll pay you if you can go make it happen. And so I would go out, and I would find deals, and I would negotiate deals and put things on paper and basically kind of help them through the process, and so they nicknamed me Make It Happen Matt. But what did they mean by that? They meant that I was able to take the goal, I was able to take the idea, I was able to take the lead measures and the lag measures that we had put together, and I was able to execute. And execution, actually getting it from paper out into the streets makes all the difference in the world, right? Because the plan requires just a pen, right? We all got that, right? But the actual execution requires behavior change, right? It's going to require you to do something different this year than you did last year. And that's where things can sometimes get a little tricky, right? Because so far today, we've sat here and we've done a lot of talking, we've done a lot of writing, right? But none of y'all have had to do a lot of doing yet, right? That happens when we walk out of this room and Monday morning, right? Maybe you take tomorrow off because it's Sunday, but Monday morning, it's time to go after it. And what's going to happen, right? That's when execution starts. This has been great. Hopefully you learned a lot. Hopefully you had some fun, connected with some good people. But even if you came up with a lot of ideas, right? Scott came up and told me some new ideas he got from his group, and those ideas are extremely valuable. But if he doesn't go out and actually take action and execute on it, none of it's going to matter, right? So we want to talk about execution here during this session. So this right here, we can see, we'll talk about what that is here in just a minute, but basically, the biggest enemy, right, as far as keeping you, right now you've isolated yourself, you're in a room, you've kind of set aside this part of the day, there's no distractions, hopefully you haven't been looking at your phone too much, But the actual biggest obstacle for you to be able to take what you wrote down and actually implement it, the biggest enemy is going to be life, right? Because you all know that on Monday morning, life about to happen, okay? And sometimes it comes on hard and it comes on strong, right? And so your job, your family, your routine, your normal Monday through Friday process, some part of that has got to change, or you are not going to be able to execute on new stuff, right? Because we live in the United States, we live full tilt, right? We're constantly juggling balls and trying to get there. And to throw something new in there without making a change or a shift or changing your schedule or doing something, it isn't going to happen, right? And so again, in the 4DX book, they call that the whirlwind. And we all have a whirlwind, right? For some of you guys, it's the 9-to-5 job. And some of you guys, it's a 9-to-8 job or an 8-to-8 job, right? For some of you, it's changing diapers. For some of you, it's, you're all in it. I don't know if we have a lot of new moms here, but for all of us, we have something different, but we have a whirlwind, right? Whether we like it or not, there is that normal part of our day that starts and is crazy, and we kind of come flying in at the end of the day, have dinner and crash and maybe watch a show and fall asleep, right? We all have that whirlwind, and there's really no way to get around it. But first of all, what I want you to understand and make sure it doesn't become an excuse for you is it's not exclusive to you, okay? You're not the only one with whirlwind. We all got it, okay? And so, well, my life's so crazy and so hectic, and we got this going on and that going on. So yeah, I get that they can grow a business, but I mean, I think Blake, didn't you just spend like the last few months in Afghanistan or something like flying? Like he's talking about growing his 7-figure wholesale business, but he was over in a foreign country, for the military, right? And you guys know Bill Allen's growing a 7-figure business, and just a few years ago, while he was launching that business, his newborn child was having heart surgery, and he was in and out of hospital. So we all have life, and we all have whirlwind, and yet some people are able to be in the middle of the whirlwind and figure out ways to execute, and some people don't. Okay? So first and foremost, we understand that it's not exclusive to you. The other thing to understand is that the whirlwind is necessary, right? And because of that, we can't just cast it aside, right? You're not going to get rid of your family, right? Maybe you're tempted to every once in a while, but you're not going to get rid of your family. You're not gonna quit your job right yet, right? The job's important because it's actually providing for your basic necessities and all that stuff. So maybe one day you want to quit your job and do real estate full time. But these things are important, right? They're necessary, and so we can't just cast them aside. And because they're necessary, because ballet and all that kind of stuff, your whirlwind is important to your kids and important to your family, important to all the bills you have to pay. They are going to constantly, get it? It's not going to stop just because you came to the seminar and made some great goals. They are constantly going to be competing for your time, for your energy, and for your resources, okay? So there are going to be some decisions that we need to make in order to make sure that when it does start competing, that we're prepared for it, we're ready for it, and we know what to do in order to make sure it doesn't overwhelm us, right? Because the whirlwind is urgent, right? It's constantly in our face. There are always important things that have to be done right now. But the goal, we would all attest to, the reason why we came to this event, the reason why we took time to write it down, the reason why we went through all this is because the goal is important, right? The goals you just set for yourself are important to you, aren't they? Right? And so, but one is urgent, one is important. Let me ask you this. When the two worlds collide, urgent and important, which one usually wins?
Urgent.
Urgent, right? Almost every single time. And so one of the things that I want to kind of advise you of is knowing that it's coming and being strategic about what you're going to do when it happens is going to give you that much more of a leg up. I'm going to give you some execution tips and tricks and strategies to make sure that as you're in the middle of the whirlwind, you're still able to set aside the time and the energy and the resource and the effort to make sure that this goal still moves forward. Because you have to be strategic and intentional to combat it, right? And this is the phrase. I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave my live stream audience with this. We won't say goodbye to you guys here in just a second because you don't get all the good stuff for free. You didn't pay, right? They all paid to be here. But I want to leave you with this phrase because it's the most important thing you'll hear in this session, and I want it to be ringing around. Remember, you heard all my little pithy sayings that I say to myself? This is a pithy saying, though it may not be 5 to 7 words, but you need to keep it in your head as you go through this, is that ignoring the urgent will rob from today, but ignoring the important will rob from tomorrow, right? And both of them are important in your life. And so if you are constantly running around just trying to take care of the urgent, you will never actually get to the important, and that is just as important for your future as your urgent is for your today, okay? So as of now, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to my live stream audience. Thank you guys for joining us, whether you're watching live or by replay. If you need more information about us, you can always find that out at professionalinvestorsguild.com. See you later.